lecture and lab. Alright? That means you've got to be able to identify all of these organs. You have to know which hormones they secrete. You have to know the targets of those hormones. And what they do. Pretty daunting chart, right? Now, let me show you something. It's really the same as this right here. It's really the same as this. See how the hypothalamus, the posterior, the hypothalamus and the anterior and posterior pituitary and the parathyroid and thyroid, it's really the same chart. It really is.
That one doesn't look as horrible.
Scary.
Though. Right.
And let me go down through here. Let me show you something else. Actually, this is part of it. Right here, that's part of it. It's not the whole thing. That's part of it. This chart right here, that chart right there, is really the same thing. Except for it doesn't show you the hypothalamic releasing hormones. What it doesn't show you is the releasing hormones from the hypothalamus hitting the pituitary. Otherwise, it's really the same thing, minus the hypothalamus. Let me tell you something else that I'm already lying to myself. I already am going against what I said in the lecture. This chart is on the test, next test. This chart right here is on your next lecture exam. This chart is on your next lecture exam. With these boxes not filled in. Now I put it on my annotated narrated lecture and I said, I'm not going to say this to you face to face. I'm going to make you look at these annotated narrated lectures, but I obviously just went against it. This chart is on your next test. Alright? But this is really the same thing, minus the hypothalamus part. So, when I say that picture is the same as this big table, minus the hypothalamic releasing hormones. So really what's going on here, folks, is all of these releasing hormones from the adrenal hypophysis, the anterior pituitary, also known as the adrenal hypophysis, tell the anterior pituitary what to do. Look at, where's the target? These are from the hypothalamus. They target the adrenal hypophysis. They tell the adrenal hypophysis to release these hormones. Then you go down to the adrenal hypophysis and look at those hormones. So let's just do one of them. Look at hypothalamus secretes CRH. CRH, corticotropin releasing hormone, goes to the adrenal hypophysis, the anterior pituitary, another name for it. What's it tell the anterior pituitary to do? It tells it to secrete ACTH. So the hypothalamus makes CRH, it goes to the anterior pituitary and tells it to release ACTH. What's ACTH do? Okay, go to the anterior pituitary. The anterior pituitary secretes ACTH, it goes to the adrenal cortex and tells it to secrete cortisol, a glucocorticoid. What does cortisol do? Okay, go to the adrenal cortex. Here's the adrenal cortex. Go to glucocorticoid. It targets most tissues. Right here. Increase lipolysis and proteolysis, that's protein breakdown and fat breakdown, and promotes gluconeogenesis. Who wants me to do that again? Okay, same hormone? Because I can do it with most of them. Do a different one. Let me skip GnRH. There's a little twist to it. These aren't all that simple. Let me do TRH. It's pretty simple, just like the one I just did. The hypothalamus secretes TRH, thyrotropin releasing hormone. What does that do? It goes to the anterior pituitary, also known as the adrenal hypophysis. What does it tell the anterior pituitary to do? It tells it to make and secrete TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. What does thyroid stimulating hormone do? Don't know yet. Let's go look at it. Anterior pituitary secretes TSH, which goes to the thyroid gland and tells it to make thyrotropin, T3 and T4. What does T3 and T4 do? I don't know yet. Let's go check it out. Thyroid gland makes T3 and T4. Goes to most cells in the body. Increases metabolism. You see that? Now, what I just said to you with those two stories, let me show you back here in the picture. Okay. Hypothalamus secretes CRH. I know it's not here, but I'm just telling you. CRH comes down to the anterior pituitary and tells it to secrete ACTH. Anterior pituitary secretes ACTH. It goes to the adrenal cortex and tells it to secrete cortisol. Cortisol goes out to your cells and promotes proteolysis, lipolysis, and gluconeogenesis. Let's do TRH. Hypothalamus secretes TRH, thyrotropin releasing hormone. The TRH will come to the anterior pituitary and say, hey, make TSH. The anterior pituitary will make TSH. That'll go to the thyroid gland. It tells the thyroid gland to make T3 and T4. And T3 and T4 will go out to all body cells and increase metabolism. Let's do GnRH for a male. I stayed away from GnRH before on purpose. Let's do GnRH for a male. Gonadotropin releasing hormone. Question?
I was just gonna say, like in lab, we do an ACTH level. What am I looking at mainly? Am I looking at?
In the lab, you're measuring this
am I
hormone
looking
right
at
here.
The adrenal pot, like that area, or am I looking more at the pituitary gland?
You're
Do that?
testing the pituitary function.
Pituitary gland.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's in the blood because you drew blood and you're measuring it.
So that's what I was just like.
But you're testing pituitary function.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's do GnRH for a male. GnRH is secreted by the hypothalamus. It goes to the anterior pituitary and tells the anterior pituitary to make two hormones, FSH and LH. All right, let's just do LH for now. GnRH tells the anterior pituitary to make LH, right here. LH goes to the testes and says make testosterone. You make testosterone and you have secondary sex characteristics. You grow axillary hair, beards, get big muscles, all that.
Is LH luteinizing hormone?
It is. In men, it's called interstitial cell stimulating hormone.
Oh, I see.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
in men,
okay.
In men, LH is called interstitial cell stimulating hormone. It's the same darn hormone. But in men, they call it ICSH for interstitial cell stimulating hormone because it targets the interstitial cells of the testes. In women, it targets the ovaries, so they call it luteinizing hormone. All right. Let's do, we did enough. You guys good?
Question, can you just talk about the posterior pituitary?
Yeah, sure. Now, I've shown you that this chart, as daunting as it is, this chart's pretty daunting. I've shown you how you read it down through. Not all of them go as far as I just did. Let's do growth hormone, all right? The hypothalamus secretes growth hormone releasing hormone right there. Growth hormone releasing hormone. That goes to the anterior pituitary. What does it tell it to do? To secrete growth hormone. What does that do? Let's go. Anterior pituitary secretes growth hormone. That's not going to another endocrine organ. It's going to their musculoskeletal system and saying grow. So it stops right here. Grow. See how some of them went further. This one stops. It says grow. Okay? So some of them stop. What I found to be helpful for people in the past is you get 4 or 5 different color highlighters and you do all green for one set of axes and all purple for another set and all yellow for another set and blue for another set. And then you have this color-coded chart and pretty soon it starts to fall in place for you. Okay? Now, let's go through some of these organs. First of all, the hypothalamus. That should be a gimme.